You are now listening to CTR Media Network.
What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network. Start the show. CTR Media Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CTR Media Network TV, where we empower entrepreneurs, creators, and industry disruptors to grow through the power of podcasting, TV, and media. Today's guest, as you can see on the screen, is the amazing Kimberly Harding. She goes from diagnosis to destiny, building a mission-driven brand. And she is right here in the heart of South Carolina. She is over a wonderful nonprofit that we're going to discuss today. And she is living proof that purpose can rise from adversity. And today we're going to uncover so many different topics centered around this condition or that actually affected my family, that I had all different type of things that I thought I knew about this particular topic. And after watching her show, I realized, I really don't know what I thought I knew. And so now I'm bringing in the expert, the amazing Kimberly Harding. Welcome to the show.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing amazingly well. I'm so happy to have you because when I think about you, Kim, I'm thinking about how you lived through some very deep personal and challenging journeys when we're talking about epilepsy. And I want to know, can you share the moment when you realized that your story was meant to help others?
Okay, so I have been having seizures since maybe I was about, that I know of. I'm going to just say this, that I know of, because I probably was having them, when I think back, I probably was having them all through elementary school, and those are the ones I was having then were probably absent seizures, because me and school didn't mesh well because we didn't know what was going on with me. So I would say often I would go 8 years without having a seizure. So when I turned, I think it was 34, 35, I started having them in my sleep. It was a lot going on with me. I was stressed out. My father was sick, and it was a lot. I didn't really know that I was stressed because sometimes we keep moving and we don't know. So then the first seizure that I had was a grand mal seizure, what they then call grand mal seizures. They call them partial seizures now. But where I actually, what everybody knows, the jerking, the shaking, and all that other stuff. Okay, well, this particular seizure, my seizures changed up, and I started having them in my sleep. And my bedroom, I stay with my parents still because of the epilepsy. So my bedroom was downstairs and theirs was upstairs. So the only person or the only living being that was with me was my dog Wally. So I started having them in what is called seizure clusters. So I would have them 3 or 4 at a time, sometimes maybe more. I would sleep, so I don't know. They was happening in my sleep. I wasn't able to work or anything. So with epilepsy and seizures comes anxiety and depression. And I was very depressed. I couldn't go nowhere. I couldn't drive. There was nothing I could do. I was home by myself, just me and Wally. So one thing that I did do was make sure that I made my way to church every Sunday. And, it was just one Sunday I was feeling defeated. I just wanted to give up. I was just like, but some didn't. Now, This particular Sunday, I couldn't hold it together. One of my church sisters came up to me and hugged me, and I just started bawling. So we walked outside, and I was talking to him. And when we went back in, I was sitting there, and I was just like, I went to the doctor, and I told her what was going on. She said, "You need to find a support group, somebody to support you." And I was like, I went to look it up. There was nothing in South Carolina, so went back to church that next Sunday. And still feeling the same. My pastor, I used to tell you what exactly he was preaching on. And God just spoke to me. He said, do your own organization, do your own support group. And I was like, yeah, man, you tripping. I don't know about no nonprofit. And being obedient. And I think that's what he was preaching on, was being obedient. And I just did it. I just stepped out on faith and did it, which I'm glad I did, because had I known how hard it was, I might not have done it. But I listened, and the birth HardyHandz, and I knew that I needed to share, and it was cool because it showed me patience. I'm more comfortable with sharing my stuff, because like most Black women in the South, we don't tell everything,
all your business.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was always taught, you don't have to tell everybody you have seizures. You don't have to tell everybody you have a learning disability or anything like that. So I didn't. A lot of my friends didn't know. A lot of my classmates are coming up and saying, "Are you serious? You was having seizures then?" So yeah.
I think it's important that we break the stigma. And the point of this interview is really to get some real concrete information about seizures, because me having a mother-in-law that had epilepsy, that had seizures, I do vividly remember the day before she passed away, that she was not acting her same self. She had like this glossy look. She was kind of like in like a daydream phase. Yeah. She was not her regular joyful self. She's usually was very want to be around everyone, and she was kind of standoffish, like a whole personality shift. And then, of course, the inedible happened, and she had the seizure, and that unfortunately is how she lost her life. And so I like replay, like, what could we have done? I mean, what could we have done to be able to see or to acknowledge some of the warning signs? Because unfortunately, television has created a situation where it's giving us the wrong information. We're thinking we need to go grab a spoon and all this other kind of stuff. Right. And could you like give us some things that are not as, because you mentioned you did have a grandma seizure, and explain what that is. And then you say you was having some in your sleep. So what is the difference between a grandma seizure and then like what you was mentioning, which is seizure clusters?
Seizure clusters. Okay. So what what it sounds like your mother-in-law was experiencing, she could have been having absent seizures, which is like a staring seizure. I'm talking to you now, right? We're talking, and then all of a sudden I zone out. And then
really
2 or 3 seconds later, I come back to normal. I may or may not remember anything that we talked about prior to it. I might be a little out of it, or I could just snap right back into it, like right where we left off. You'll never know. That's an absent seizure.
Absent seizure. Okay.
Then you have, I'm gonna just use the term that everybody's familiar with, the grandma seizure. Because you get a lot technical, and I tend to get tongue-tied with it. But the grandma seizure, which is what everybody knows, the jerking, the shaking, the twitching, you can't hold anything. That's what we know. Those are violent. They can be violent at times, but they're not as dangerous as the nocturnal seizures, which are the seizures your mother-in-law passed away from in her sleep. Those are dangerous only because of situations like you said that like you were telling me, she was on her stomach and she was suffocated. Or let me start by saying this, with the seizures, when a person's having a seizure, like the grandma seizures and stuff, you have to make sure that the person's on their side versus the spoon. And the reason being is when we're having a seizure, all our muscles are contracting. We have no control over our body. Some people have pooped on themselves. Some people have urinated on themselves. Some people may even vomit. If the vomiting happens, if you're on your back, what are you going to do? You're going to choke. You have no way to swallow. So we get you on your side so that it can come out of your mouth. People are concerned, well, we put this through the spoon so you don't bite your tongue off. Can't really bite your tongue. You can bite your tongue. I bit the mess out of my tongue one time, like it was swollen for a good week and a half. But at least that way, the blood that comes from the tongue will come out of your mouth versus choking you. So yeah, so that's why we turn you on your side. So it's a couple steps that you do if you see somebody having a seizure. One, if you know the person, you probably pretty much know whether or not to call the ambulance. If this is their first seizure, and you don't know them, call an ambulance. They can always say whether or not they want to go, because I don't want to go to no hospital. It's pointless. By the time you get to the hospital, unless you're having the seizure lasts longer than 5 minutes, and if they're continuous, then the person would definitely need to go to the hospital. But if it's like one seizure, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to want to go to the hospital. That bill is just crazy. It is expensive to have epilepsy. So, and they're not going to be able to catch anything, because once the seizure goes, it's gone. It's done. You want to if you know the person, you want to make sure you either time it to see how long it's going on. Make sure the area is clear, because when they come out of it, they're going to be upset and embarrassed. So just if there's a lot of people around, just tell them to go away. I would say 2 people should be with you, 1 person at a time, and 1 person to just soothe the person. It's going to be okay. You're fine. How you doing? They're not going to want to talk much coming out of it either. So you may not get a response back. Just looking for their eyes to be open and stuff like that. Like I said, turn them on their side and make sure something is up under their head, like a pillow, a jacket or something. And you just talk them through it. When they come out of it, you definitely going to have to reassure them. They're probably going to be in pain because their muscles are sore, and they're going to want to sleep. That's all they're going to want to do is sleep. Okay. They're tired. You're exhausted, because all a seizure is your brain moving at a fast rate, really fast. You'll see me pause a little bit because I gotta stop myself, because when I'm talking, my brain is on hyperactive mode, and especially if I'm excited. So I have to stop and think sometimes about what I'm going to say next. But that's pretty much how our brains are. They move at a fast rate, and we have to do things to stimulate ourselves to slow that down and calm it down, because I have times where I can't even sleep. So, sometimes we'll experience an aura, which is probably what your mother-in-law was having from your description. Was either she was probably having the absence seizures and maybe an aura too, as it was coming on. And honestly, you wouldn't know this unless you knew everything about epilepsy. And because it's like one of the least talked about things, like if you hear it on TV, somebody's doing a lame joke about it. I don't always like jokes that go along with epilepsy. Very rarely do I laugh at them.
Thank you so much, CTR Media Network, Dr. Tina Ramsey, along with the staff of CTR Media Network and all of the podcasters that have programs featured on CTR Media Network. I'm Kim Jacobs, the host of The Kim Jacobs Show, and we're bringing balance to the world one household at a time. It is such an honor and a privilege to be able to be associated with Dr. Tina Ramsey and her program with CTR Media Network. They go over and beyond the call of duty and do exceptionally well when it comes to the podcasters. I'm saying things that are like, ooh, mind-blowing. They are exceeding our expectations, and I cannot be more grateful and more thankful. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for all of your professionalism, your consideration, going the extra mile to make sure that your podcasters have what we need to be able to have a thriving program and to get exposed to over 350 million households, 46 countries. I am excited to be a part of CTR Media Network, and I don't take it for granted. Thank you, Dr. Tina Ramsey, for all that you do. God bless you.
But because we don't talk about it, you don't really know what an aura is. So or what
What
to
is
do
an
next.
aura? Describe that for the
something.
audience.
For me, it could be a smell, it could be a sound, it just could be
It triggers you.
it's telling you one's about to come on, and if you don't know what to look for, yeah, there's some people have a metallic taste, huh?
Sometimes what you're saying is sometimes with some people when they have an aura, they can maybe taste something, smell something.
Some people have a metallic taste. Yeah. Some I knew this girl that said she smelled something that's similar to the smell of strawberries right before her seizures come on. It's different. Everybody's auras are different, just like everybody's seizures are different, and how they respond to them and the medications. Nobody's the same. I actually say nobody's healthcare. Even you could have a person that could be, have heart problems, but their heart problems is different from the next person with the same heart problem. So because our bodies are so different, our situations are different and stuff we go through and the triggers. But that's what an aura, and when you're having an aura, 9 times out of 10, you probably don't want to be around no TV because the flashing lights can trigger it. The halogen lights that we see in grocery stores and stuff like that, they can trigger it on the headlights on the car. Yeah. So
okay, and so even down to, I remember my children had a video game and it said due to some type of lights in the backdrop or whatever like that, it could potentially cause individuals to have seizures. And I'll never forget, I was looking at the screen and it was different. And all of a sudden I felt so sick. And then I realized I had sensitivities to certain lights and different sensitivity. And so it's ironic that you said the lights. And that's why we have to be careful with, in media, I'm very sensitive to flashing lights for people, because when I create my media, when I create my show, because we have had experience with this, I don't like to have flashing, real busy videos going on. Right. I need them to transition slower than traditional, because I know that can be a trigger, because my cousin have seizures and different stuff like that, and certain sounds and stuff. So I don't think that we really think about, when we create different things, how it's going to look and feel, and can cause someone to have a medical emergency. So I never knew about the clusters. I've never even really thought about the daydreaming kind of effect, where you're kind of out of it, kind of glossy. You're there, but you're not there. You're talking to the person, they just kind of like gone, right? I never thought about that could potentially be a seizure. And the only thing that I have ever heard of was what you mentioned with the grandma seizure, which we all see depicted on television. And I don't know the proper name for it now, because they change the name to all these diagnoses all the time.
I feel like it changes every 3 months, but
yeah, like they change it not only here, they change it in other arenas as well. And so you want to be correct, but if I said the wrong thing, it's not intentionally, I apologize. But with that being said, what is one of the biggest mindset shifts that you personally knows with yourself when you found out your diagnosis, and then because you mentioned you went to church, and then you got, God talked to you about you need to start it, because you went and looking and searching, and you kept going back to church, and you felt depressed, all this different stuff. The fellowship around you trying to encourage you, and then all of a sudden God said, Kimberly, it's you. You need to start it. So after turning that diagnosis into a mission, what type of mindset you needed to shift in, thinking, okay, I have all of this going on. Now I got to deal with other people and other situations, and I don't know how to start a nonprofit. I don't even know what the first thing to do. I just know my personal situation. What type of mindset you had to do in order for you to even take on something that big?
Okay, so I'm just being straight honest with you. I'm a Virgo, so I'm hard on myself naturally. So I'm going to second guess everything. And I just had to rely on my support my support people, my supporting. I call them my supporting cast because they was like, "You can do this. You got this. You can do it." And I've always, whenever I would start something, I rarely ever finished it. So I was bound and determined. I said, God said I had to do this. I am not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. So that even though there are days where I really, really, really want to, I don't. I keep going because I really do feel like this is my mission and my purpose. So, with that, and it was easy. I had Wally following me around. Unfortunately, Wally passed away about 2 years ago, but I had wrote a children's book that, yes, God spoke that to me right there, sitting in the same pew at the church house. I wrote the children's book, and it's just funny. Everything he tells me to do, I do it, and it comes to fruition. And kids love the book because it was my way to reach the kids. Because they were saying, "Well, Miss Kim, they don't talk about us. They talk about babies and the older people." And for real, when you looked up anything about epilepsy for the longest time, you didn't see anything about African Americans. Nothing. Very rarely did you see anything about women, unless they were over 65 or a baby that was an infant to maybe 2 or 3. But now
we don't talk about this type of stuff in our family. We sweep it under the rug. I didn't even know my mother-in-law had seizures until she had the seizure. Then everybody said, "What happened?" She has seizures. No, we didn't know. She has seizures. What?
You know why? You know why?
No, I don't know why.
Did you know Harriet Tubman had seizures?
No,
I
did not.
Freeing slaves and having what they call spells.
Oh yeah, I heard that part. Now they did say that. They did say
spells
that.
Were seizures.
That can mean anything. That can mean anything.
The reason everybody, all the slaves and stuff kept it a secret because back then, when you would have seizures, they said that was from the devil.
Oh.
Or that you were mentally crazy and you would end up on places like Bull Street.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's why the stigma. Okay. Now we're getting
families still to this day that think that you're possessed by the devil or a demon if you have a seizure. They'll say it's biblical, but yes, the seizures are in the Bible. However, it shows how God healed Peter's son from seizures.
Exactly.
There's nothing demonic.
No.
Some people pick and choose what they read in the Bible. They interpret it their way. But that's why that stereotype in 2025 still exists. And people are either that, and now is a little bit into, I might get fired from my job.
Yeah. And then dealing with driving and everything like that.
Yeah, they don't want to not drive because you're technically in some states have it. You can't drive for 3 years. Our state says 6 to 9 months, depending on what the doctor says. So, yeah. That's why I work hard to watch my triggers and all that other stuff so that I can, because I do drive. I'll drive to work at home. I try not to drive at night if I can't help it. But I have great friends who don't mind being drivers. So,
That's great. So you mentioned you have children book. You started this nonprofit, and I want to kind of piggyback on the branding of HardyHandz. Why did you decide to use, out of all the colors, purple and to build? Because it's a certain type of way that your logo and everything looks. So is there any significance behind that? Okay,
so the logo, one of the ministers at my church, he's like my big brother. He was creating logos at that time, and I asked him to do one. I wanted a phoenix. He said I don't think he liked it. He said, "I'm gonna go and pray about it." So he said that's what God told him to do, was the butterfly with the HHs. So, and purple is epilepsy is purple. Our color is purple. So
okay. All right. Well, it's beautiful. So and it makes you feel warm inside. It has a good feel to it. So I was wondering what was the connection with that. And so when I think about what you're doing here in South Carolina, debuffing the stereotypes, educating us on what it is and what it isn't, and informing us and connecting us with resources, I do want to touch on this, and you can go as deep or not as deep as you want. With the current administration, with all of the shutdowns, like I am a small business owner, I have a nonprofit as well as a business for profit, but in particular, the grants, the funding that we need as business owners, as nonprofit organizations to be able to give to the community, has that directly with the shutdown of all the grants and funding, have that directly affected your nonprofit?
It has.
Okay.
Through the Epilepsy Foundation of America, we get what's called a mini grant from the CDC. This is our third year receiving that. And it was the mini grant. It was like a $10,000 grant. We get it in $5,000 increments at the top of the grant cycle, and then right before it ended, and that was to put on events and to get out into the rural areas, because South Carolina is very rural, and it's a lot of people need a lot of assistance. And what they were trying to do was gauge exactly what the Black and Brown community needed. Our president of the Epilepsy Foundation is a Black woman who is an epileptic herself. And now they were trying to, like I said before, there was no numbers a lot but with the African American community. So now they were gauging numbers. They were trying to see, because with me, I truly, honestly, wholeheartedly feel that this is in my family. It's a genetic thing. And that if you don't have it starting out, what triggers ours is concussions and stuff. I was in a car accident. I got a concussion and it triggered everything, even to me wearing these beautiful glasses you see on my face.
Wow.
But I mean, it's just little things.
I never thought that even a concussion can trigger something that's maybe laying dormant in you.
I always say we're all one head injury away from having seizures and epilepsy ourselves. You know what I'm saying? My cousin, she was in a car accident, got a concussion, and she said her boyfriend said it seemed like she was shaking in her sleep and stuff. And I told her, I said, you got to be careful. I said, because just have him watch you or whatever. And it happened a couple times. I don't know if it's still happening. I need to check up on her about that. But yeah. As far as going back to what we were talking about with the current administration and everything, the grant that we usually get when they laid off the 10,000 people, part of those 10,000 people was the entire epilepsy program. That's funding, research, data, everything. So we honestly, the Epilepsy Foundation had a committee where we were about to get a big grant to do a bigger project. They're still going to do it. They just won't have the funding from the CDC. I'm on the advisory board for that. We also, with the mini grant, we didn't think we were going to get anything, and we're going to get about probably $5,000 of it, but we probably won't get the second half. And the grant cycle starting up late, so now I'm in a hustle mode trying to get my project redone so that we can fit the monetary value that we're going to get, which we're definitely grateful for. But when I heard about this, I got an instant headache. I hadn't had a headache in a long time. I used to get migraines all the time, but I was sad. And it wasn't for the fact that we weren't going to receive the grant funding. It was because I knew I've gone from Chester to Newberry to Orangeburg to Sumter. I've seen all these small areas, Fairfield County, that needs assistance, and that we're starting to get it. I had been fussing the first two grant cycles about nobody wanted to talk. The adults didn't want to talk because of about their epilepsy, because of their jobs or whatever, the stereotypes and stuff. And finally, they were opening up, and here we go. So this has set us back. We're not giving up. We're just going to have to, because data is being erased. If you go on, there's some stuff that used to be on there that's not up there anymore. And they're blaming on the DEI stuff. But, we're in this. We're gonna stay on them. We've got a couple of things out there going to Congress and Senate. We've written letters, even down to when we lost the funding stuff. There was a letter circulating that we sent to our state's Republican representatives, Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott, and Joe Wilson. We sent those letters to them. We bombarded them. So yeah, they may be doing. They're gonna hear from us though. We're not going out without a fight. So that's why we always tell people it's important to donate to smaller nonprofits too. We know about the bigger ones, but the smaller ones, we're out here on the ground, boots to the ground. We do need help funding wise.
Yeah. And so when I thought about everything that you're doing, and you was really like, if you weren't the first, you was one among the first to be a trained
a certified first aid
trainer.
Yes.
Ooh, that was a tongue twister. So how did you come into being able to even hear about this type of training? And was it in South Carolina, or did you have to travel out in order to get this type of training?
Well, I don't even know how I linked up with the Epilepsy Foundation. I think it was through some people that I met in Atlanta, and my name was thrown out there. And being that in Columbia, there are no other organizations in Columbia. I'm finding out after I started this process that there was one in Charleston. So being that I was the only one in South Carolina, and we used to have an Epilepsy Foundation in South Carolina, but it lost funding. So that shut down, I think in the early 90s, I think it was. So I'm trying to pick up where they left off. So my name was being floated around, and I think that's how I connected with the mini grant. And from there, when I started doing the mini grant, I started doing the trainings. I was like, well, I know about what to do, so I can just learn to be a trainer. Now, my nerves is still bad on it. I'm slowly crawling on it because I never wanted to teach anything. So getting out there and training, and that Virgo mind, you got to second guess yourself. So I'm getting out of that, but I am certified to train anyone in epilepsy first aid. We now have a law enforcement training to train law enforcement, nurses, school nurses, and stuff like that. So that's what this grant cycle was, targeting colleges, schools, and last year was law enforcement. So yeah, I did have to go to Atlanta to do that training. It was pretty cool. But
so did your organization partner with people outside of the departments and the places that you name, like other businesses? Like, I know you're a nonprofit, but do you guys partner with business for profit in order to educate the community about epilepsy?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
good.
Business
that you mean as far as the training goes?
Yes.
I can train anybody. Okay. I've been letting like places like even like restaurants. I was at Stomp Out Crime a couple weeks ago, and Dave and Buster's was right across from me, and the lady I was telling her about the trainings, and she said, somebody had a seizure in the restaurant the other night, and I said, wow. Let me know. I'll come in and train your staff, and so that they'll know what to do, because honestly, by the time you call the ambulance, it's going to be over with. And it's important that the people around know what to do to help that person. Everybody's scared about liability, but if you know what to do, you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. So when I think about media, nonprofits, or even business for profit, or even if you're a content creator, how important is it for you to get your message out to media? Do you use media in order to get your business out with the nonprofit? How have you been able to do that? And what type of help do you need in that area if you haven't done it yet?
I've been on Soda City Live, which is on WIS. I've had a Facebook Live that I used to do with a friend of mine. It's called Purple Table Talk with Kim and Javon. We've done that. I want to start up my own podcast, and that's the next step, just to get a further reach out there, because I think it's an important topic. and like you to educate people on what to do. And it'll help get more men and women and adults talking about their particular epilepsy as well. So I feel like it's very important and can be impactful.
Oh, I know it will, for the simple fact that you were speaking about some of the data is not where it used to be since all these new changes. Well, guess what? A podcast does. It captures the data real time. People don't think of podcasting in such a strategic way, but that's one of the things that I love about podcasting. It's a great marketing tool. It's a great educational tool. And it's one of those evergreen things that's going to surpass your lifespan. So people will be able to pull your work, pull what you've been doing, and be able to get that encouragement, especially from the ones that are a little timid to reach out, a little timid to actually, because maybe we've been raised to keep, don't tell everybody your business kind of thing that holds you captive. But maybe an episode that they see on your show will help them be able to identify, I saw my child doing this. No, I saw my mom or my dad, So those are some things that I feel like your podcast will definitely be able to help and keep this conversation going. And most importantly, put a face to epilepsy. Because we hear the word, we see what happens in media that are not good, but this is giving you the chance to control the narrative. Right. And for real, giving real news and not fake news, because it's too much out there now.
Exactly.
So I really like what you're doing. So with the HardyHandz Foundation, what is your vision that you want to have for the future? I know you want to do more. I know you want to do advocacy, but have you ever thought about that one thing that you would like to do, or your organization as a whole, to say, this is what we want to do, and leave this as one of our, digital, one of our legacies?
I would like to find resources for people who, so like with me, I stay at home, but I drive. So if somebody wants to be able to live by themselves, I want to be able to, create maybe a residency where they can safely live, that also has transportation for their needs and stuff like that. I would love to do something like that. That is something that God gave to me. So I know that's going to take a little bit of time and planning and getting together, but that's a dream right now. That's a dream of mine that I will put into fruition. But just reaching the people, just helping people, assisting people with what they need.
Well, I tell you what, that is definitely something that is much needed, because at the end of the day, whether you have autism, because my son has autism, that's why I said that. If you have epilepsy or whatever thing that you have to deal with, at the end of the day, they just want to be treated like a human being, not like some type of experiment, not looked at differently, want to enjoy life too. And I feel like having a community, having what you describe, to have that independent living, but you still in a controlled environment, but you can have some freedom to feel just like, I thought it would be a dream for me to have my own place, but now, because they do have some places where now they have for neurodivergent, that's the new term now when they saying autism. So anywho, that's the new term. And so I'm trying to be forward thinking with the new terms, but it's kind of hard when you're so used to describing it in a certain way. But they do have independent living facilities that they're building for ones who are neurodivergent. For those of you who don't know the terminology, autism, so they can have independent living. They do have ones that come in to cook, one that's come in to clean, one that take them to the doctors, take them to the grocery store, depending upon the level of help that they need. But one of the problems is that now the program is suffering when they fought to get it started because of the current funding. So it was so many strides that was made, and then now we have one in South Carolina, but now it's looking like, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. So what I would say to everyone that's watching this episode, if you are a family member that you know have epilepsy, have autism, or what they say neurodivergent, or anything that will cause a person to have assistance dealing with a medical condition. And we need to start talking about this. We need to start having a conversation. We need to start going to the places that can make the changes with the law. Okay, I know we've been taught to be quiet. I know we have been taught not to say anything. But when individuals like Kim come by and say, hey, I need your opinion on this. I need you to fill out this paper because we need to have so many people so that we can get this funding or get this equipment or get this grant so that we can give you this money so that you can get the care that you need. Do it.
Yeah, I know. If you see me come at you with a survey, the survey's not to get your business out there. It's so that we can get the numbers up. And yeah.
And see, I don't think people really realize how important their voice is. And when we don't get it, because for me, being in media, a lot of people reach out for a lot of different things. And I was like, it's only so much that I can do. It has to come from the collective.
Right.
And one thing that I want them to understand from you and from me, or you and I, my mama will get me with this English, you and I. Okay, mom. but you know, anyway, is that we have to start having these conversations. I had all this misconception of what epilepsy was versus what it truly is. I did not understand the subtleness of small seizures or how it looks. We're thinking a person just daydreaming and they could possibly be having a seizure. Yeah. It's not always the graphic, dramatic, like she was saying, the jerking and everything like that we see on television. I'm really thinking, because working in the school, I used to see a lot of children just all of a sudden just be standing still and was just staring. And now I'm thinking, was that a seizure?
That's what teachers are asking. The teachers are saying the same thing. I get that all the time.
They're just like, just standing there. And I'm like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, it didn't last on maybe a minute. And then they'll come back and then they'll just start playing like nothing ever happened, you know? Just imagine
how get labeled. I was one of them kids that get labeled as she's a great student. She does her work. It's just that she's just zones out sometimes.
Not focused.
Yes, unfocused. That's it.
You know, and so I feel like just from having this conversation right now with you today, it opened my mind on losing someone that I love so dearly, my mother-in-law, because I keep replaying what happened. And now that you said the things that you said, I'm like, there were the signs, but I wasn't educated.
You didn't know.
None of us were. We were not educated other than to see the big ones, you know, because we had family members. That's the only thing I ever saw with my uncle when he had the big seizures. I never experienced, and my cousin, I never experienced the subtle ones. And in my opinion, now this is just my opinion, they can be even more dangerous because we don't catch it. Yeah. We're like, I'm like, wait a minute, did she just say like zoning out? You know how many people I see zone out?
Yeah. With the zoning out, you just need to know what to look for. There was a Purple Table Talk we did with Julie. If you go back and look on my YouTube channel, she had one right there while we were interviewing her. Wow. I actually had somebody inbox me and said we were making it up, that we were just doing it for hype. And I'm simply like, what?
Why would we do it? Like,
really? I got so mad.
It's like, really though, really? Ain't nobody trying to do no clickbait dealing with real life stuff.
Exactly. And with her, she was so excited about the interview, us interviewing her, that it threw her into a seizure. Her husband was on with her because that happens for her sometimes. And she works for the Epilepsy Foundation of California, or she did then, at Southern California. And so she kind of knew what she needed around her to ease her anxiety and stuff like that. So yeah.
So what can a person do if they feel like they may possibly have epilepsy, or someone that they know or love? Do you have an 800 number or resources where they can connect with you on at least have a conversation?
Yeah, if they want to talk to me, they can reach out. I'm on all social media, Instagram, Facebook. I have a TikTok page. It just has one commercial on it. I don't know how to do TikTok, but
I don't really care for the TikTok anyway.
Right.
I'm on there though.
You can email me at HardyHandz@gmail.com. Also, the Epilepsy Foundation of America has a 1-800 number that they can also call and connect with, and they have people, and I think I'm linked up with them too. So they may send me the call too. So, just anytime.
Well, I have a quick question that I just thought about. In regards to content creation, podcasters, TV hosts, say, for example, a person know that they have epilepsy and they want to be a podcaster or TV host, but they know that certain things, maybe the mic sound or maybe a lighting, a certain type of light. Is there any advice that you can give them? Because we may have somebody, I don't know why I'm being led to say this now, because this was not on my mind.
That's the Lord. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so it gotta be, kid. It ain't me.
Let him use you, girl.
I'm gonna use me. But I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna ask this question. It's people that may be looking at this video, looking at this podcast and saying, I have something that I would like to say. I would like to come on your podcast when you start your epilepsy podcast or your Purple Table Talk, bring back whatever you decide to do. I know they're going to be tuning in. But I'm afraid because I have these triggers. I don't think I can because of this. Do you have any suggestions that they can do? Or even
as far as the lighting and the mic sounds and stuff like that?
Is there anything that they can do, like, to be able to still fulfill their dream of having their own TV show, their own podcast, despite of, not allowing, because they see you and they may want to do it, but everybody's a little bit different. But what help? Put it like this: what helped you? What helped you?
I just had to stop letting fear stop me from doing stuff. And that's a daily work in progress, because I'm like I call myself the scariest person I know. But just step out on faith. Do not let epilepsy define who you are. You have epilepsy, yes, but it does not define you. It does not have to rule over your life. You may have to move differently from that average person, but you can still do things. Getting tech people around you that are experts and that know about lighting and sound that can help you navigate that, because it's going to be a trial and error thing anyway. You're going to have to figure out what works best for you naturally as a nonprofit team. You know that you had to learn what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
So your first 10 episodes are going to be how this work, what does work, what doesn't work, what pulls people in, when to come on and stuff. So it's the same thing with the lighting and sound. So it's just a matter of trial and error. If it causes you to have a seizure, okay, we know that the lighting and right coming at this angle is too bright and it's triggering. But if I put it over on this side, nothing happens. Or if it's directly in front of me, it might trigger something. So it's just knowing and having a good team around you.
Well, thank you for that advice. Somebody need to hear that.
Amen.
I don't know who it was. Somebody need to hear that, because sometimes you just never know who you're going to touch and who's listening, because that was not on the plan. So I know that someone need to hear it, because they're sitting down, they're watching us, either they're listening or they're watching us on television, and they're like, well, I want to do that too, but I have all of this. Just take it one step at a time. It was not easy for me. Being a person that had experiences with asthma and different stuff like that take away your breath. Now think about it. I'm a host and I have to use a lot of air to speak. Okay. And so there are moments in certain seasons I can't be out in, like when it's incredibly hot, you will notice that you're not seeing me out and about on the street at the street vendor events anymore. It's a different kind of heat out there now. You know, you will notice there's certain things that you have to do to adjust, but you don't let your condition run your life.
Right.
Figure out
Exactly.
how you can do what you need to do. And sometimes you just need to sit down and take a breather and readjust. And that's why if you can't do this out in public, then you do it from a virtual. Okay. So no excuse. You do whatever you have to do and adjust it. Okay. So one thing that I can say about you, Kim, you are a warrior. You are a fighter. And I see why God is using you with HardyHandz to do what you do, because you have an infectious, loving spirit. And I really love speaking with you because you made a topic that is so taboo. You made it so relatable for us to be able to talk about it without feeling like, oh, I'm walking on eggshells. I don't know. Wait, you know. And
so
I feel
technical.
like, yes, and I feel like this is going to help so many people. First of all, we're going to help more people, especially Black and brown individuals, because we don't talk about this just regularly, to have the courage to even to talk about it. First of all, because some people are suffering in silence. They don't know what's going on. They just know that sometimes they feel a little off. Right. And this may be the reason why you're feeling the way that you feel, but you can't really put your hand on it because you have went to the doctor eons and many a times, and every time you go, they say your test is normal, because like Kim said, if it's small,
they've never figured out where mine came from either. And there were a lot of times up until my seizure clusters, I didn't even tell my mom that I wasn't feeling good. A lot of times I would just push through, keep going. This stuff, I would have migraines real bad. Migraines, lay down, maybe keep going, still hanging out, just doing whatever. I didn't let it really stop me. I just dealt with it. But now it's okay to not feel good and get somewhere and sit down
and get some help. So tell people where they can find the name of your book and where they can get your book from. And also, one more time before we go, tell them how they can contact you for your foundation for services.
Okay. So my book's name is The Adventures of Wally and Kimmy, Wally to the Rescue. It is on Amazon. I sometimes have some on hand. I will be at the R2D2 library on May 17th, and they're having a book thing. So I'll be there. Y'all can come see me and get you a book, get you Wally, little Wally in your life. And you can reach me on Instagram and Facebook, HardyHandz, and LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn too. HardyHandz Foundation, HardyHandz with a Z. And you can email me, HardyHandz Foundation. No foundation for the email. I'm sorry. Rewind. HardyHandz @gmail.com. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in on today. And remember to reach out for help. This is not the season for you to struggle. This is not the season for you to deal with challenges by yourself. This is not the season for you to live the way you lived last year. There are still resources out here. So really take advantage of what's available. And we are praying for all the stuff that was available, that are not available now, for it to come back and come back in full circle, because we need these organizations. We need these resources, and hopefully somebody see it and they'll be like, well, let's go ahead and give them the money they need, because she need to do these projects. Okay. All right. So thank you. So thank you so much, Kim, for stopping by on today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. No problem. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Make sure to download the CTR Media Network app. Today is absolutely free. That is our way of giving back to the community by not charging you a membership to watch. Oh, so what excuses do you have? Okay, This is our way of showing that we care, and we bring people like him and so many different channels, from homeschooling, education, self-improvement, events. If you want your event to stream on our network, just reach out to us and we'll let you know the processes of that. We have everything, even entrepreneurship, credit. For those of you who need to get that credit together. Okay. We have all this different content for you for absolutely free. I'm not the only podcaster or TV host that's there. We have over 30 plus podcasters / TV hosts. So go check them out today. And you can download our app, scan the screen, scan me, and go ahead and download the app. You can also watch us on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TV, iOS app, and Google Play. And if you want to support, you can go ahead and go to our website and be able to support the production of our show so we can continuously bring you more content to help you have a better life. On that note, you guys have a great, amazing rest of your day. And thank you for watching CTR Media Network TV. I'm your host, Dr. Tina Ramsey. Talk to you later. Bye.
Here's why you need to tune in right now. With CTR Media Network, you can transform your knowledge into a fully produced TV show. Imagine your content streaming on platforms like Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV, reaching over 350 million households in 140 countries. We take care of everything, from managing your ready-to-go content to global distribution. And it's not just any content, it's edutainment. A perfect blend of education and entertainment that keeps viewers coming back for more. You'll join a vibrant community of thought leaders, podcasters, and educators, all sharing a passion for impactful content and global reach. Plus, with our app available on Google Play and the App Store, your show will be accessible to millions more, ready to shine on the global stage. Let's get you started. Schedule a 15-minute call with us today and turn your idea into a TV sensation. Reply to this video by saying, "I want to learn more." Don't wait, your audience is out there waiting.